All right, let's dive in. We're talking Amparanoia, but this isn't just about her music, right? We're going deeper, tracing it all back to her roots.
Exactly. Think about it, a small town in Andalusia. Sun, energy, that unmistakable flamenco rhythm, it all started there.
Okay, so picture Amparo growing up in Alcalá la Real. How much did that environment, that musical heritage, really shape her sound?
It's everywhere. You can hear those influences in her music even today, even with all the other elements she blends in.
So it's like that early exposure to folk music, her family's own musical background, it's all woven into Amparanoia's DNA.
Absolutely. It's fascinating how those early influences stick with you, but it's more than just, echoing the past. She takes those roots and creates something totally new.
Right. It's that fusion of rock, flamenco, reggae, even some Latin rhythms that makes her music so unique. Global, but still grounded.
And that's where mestizaje comes in.
Mestizaje. Could break that down for us. What does that even mean?
It's about blending, fusing musical traditions, but it's also deeper than that. It reflects Spain's own cultural mix, especially in Andalusia, where she's from. It's about embracing those different influences.
So when you listen to Amparanoia, you're not just hearing a catchy tune, you're hearing a statement.
Exactly.
And speaking of statements, let's talk about her debut album, El Poder de Machine. 1997. That was a game changer, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It put Amparanoia on the map, but it wasn't just the success, it was the boldness of it.
What do you mean?
The way she combined flamenco with rock, the lyrics that tackled social issues head-on, it shook things up in the Spanish music scene.
So she wasn't just riding a wave, she was creating her own current.
Exactly. And you know who else was doing that at the time? Manu Chao.
Manu Chao, now there's a legend. But what always gets me is how their paths seem to intertwine with Amparanoia's journey.
Oh, it's more than just a coincidence. It's a shared musical philosophy. Both of them, Manu Chao with his Mano Negra background and Amparo, they were all about breaking down those musical walls.
Blending genres, pushing boundaries. They weren't afraid to experiment.
Exactly. And you can hear that energy, that shared vision, especially in those early collaborations.
Like Welcome to Tijuana. That track just crackles with energy.
It does. And Manu Chao's production on some of those early Amparanoia tracks, well, it helped shape their sound, gave it that international appeal while staying true to their roots.
It's like they amplified each other's strengths.
Totally. But Manu Chao wasn't the only collaboration that stood out, was he?
No way. We're talking about a woman who collaborated with everyone, it seemed like.
Right. It's like she had this open door policy when it came to making music.
Seriously. Fido Cabrales, Jairo Zavala, even Calexico from the U.S. It's a pretty impressive lineup.
She wasn't afraid to cross borders, musically speaking.
And what always struck me was, no matter who she worked with, it always sounded like Amparanoia at its heart.
She has this knack, this ability to bring all these different elements together without losing her own unique voice.
That's true. Okay, but if we had to pick one collaboration that really stands out, which one would you choose?
Oh, that's tough. I think the one with Fido Cabrales was pretty special.
Fio, from Fido and Fittipaldi's.
Yeah,
that's a name that'll get any Spanish rock fan going. What was it about their styles that just clicked?
It's like they brought out something new in each other's music. Fido has that raw, kind of bluesy sound.
That rock edge, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And when you mix that with Amparanoia's energy, it just adds this whole other level of intensity.
And I bet it brought in a wider audience, too. People who might not have expected that kind of fusion.
Totally. But speaking of unexpected, what about when Amparanoia, the band, called it quits in 2008?
Right. It felt like the end of an era.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But for Amparo, it was more like a new beginning.
She went solo, and she dove in head first.
It was like she was just getting started, and she was free to experiment, explore new soundscapes.
And she definitely wasn't afraid to make some big changes. Case in point, that 2010 album, Tucson Habana, recorded between Arizona and Cuba. Well, that's a statement.
It really is. You can hear that evolution in her sound. Tucson Habana is more stripped back, more acoustic. There's a different kind of energy there.
More introspective, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. The lyrics are more personal, more vulnerable. It's like she's digging deeper, exploring new emotional territory.
But still, you know it's Amparanoia when you hear it.
Oh, absolutely. But there's this new layer of depth, a maturity that wasn't there before. And it's around this time that her social activism really starts to take center stage.
Right. It's like her music became this platform for her to speak out about the things she believed in, especially women's rights.
And you can't forget about her book, La Niña y el Lobo, 2014. That was a brave thing to do.
Talking about domestic violence, sharing those kinds of personal experiences, it takes courage.
It does, but it resonated with so many people.
It showed a whole other side of her, a vulnerability that was both powerful and inspiring.
Absolutely. And just when you thought she was done surprising us, boom, 2022 rolls around.
The return of Amparanoia. Though this time they weren't alone, were they?
Not at all. They teamed up with Artistas del Gremio.
Artistas del Gremio. I'm drawing a blank here.
A charanga band.
Charanga. Okay. For those of us who aren't up on our Spanish musical genres, what exactly is a charanga band?
Think brass instruments, a big, energetic sound, that classic Spanish fiesta vibe.
Talk about a plot twist. What made her decide to bring that kind of energy into the mix?
I think it just goes back to that desire to experiment, to always be pushing the boundaries.
And what did that sound like?
It's like nothing you've ever heard. You've got the charanga sound, then they've got Balkan rhythms in there, even some Mexican and electronic influences. It's wild.
Sounds like they threw everything but the kitchen sink at it.
Pretty much, but somehow it works. It's this joyful, eclectic mix that just grabs you. And you can hear it all on Fanfaria. That was their 2024 album.
So even with Amparanoia back in action, she wasn't done exploring new musical avenues.
Oh, not even close. In fact, she dove headfirst into another collaboration, this one called Quinky Potres.
Quinky Potres. All right, you've definitely got my attention. Tell me more about this one.
Imagine this. A group of fiercely talented women using music to create social change. That's Quinky Potres.
I like the sound of that already.
It's this really cool mix of urban styles, cumbia, reggaeton, even some electronic beats. And it's all wrapped up in this powerful eco-feminist message.
Wow, so they're not just making music, they're making a statement.
Exactly. It's like Amparo's taking her activism to a whole new level. She's always pushing herself, always pushing boundaries. It really makes you think.
It really does make you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, can music actually be a force for change in the world?
It's a big question, right? But looking at Amparanoia, at her journey, it does make you wonder.
Because she started out just soaking up those sounds of Andalusia, and now she's this global voice for social justice. It's pretty remarkable.
It really is. It makes you think about music differently. Like, it's not just something we listen to for fun. It's a way to connect with people, to get them thinking about important issues.
And she's shown that you don't have to choose between making art and taking a stand. She's doing both. Her music is full of these messages about feminism, the environment, social justice. She's not afraid to speak her mind.
Exactly. And what's so cool is that she's always looking for new ways to do it, new collaborations, new sounds. It's like she's saying, this is important to me, and I'm going to find every way I can to make you hear it.
That's pretty inspiring. When you think about it, it makes you want to go out and discover other artists who are doing the same thing, pushing boundaries and trying to make a difference.
Definitely. That's the beauty of music. It can open your mind to new ideas, new perspectives. And Amparanoia's story is just one example. There are so many others out there.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Amparanoia's world, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this?
I'd say pay attention to the music that moves you. Don't just listen to it. Really listen. Look for the stories behind the songs, and you might be surprised at what you find.
You might even find yourself inspired to make a change, to do something you never thought you would.
Exactly.
Well said. Because music is more than just notes and melodies. It's a reflection of our lives, our experiences, our hopes for the future. And sometimes it can be a call to action. So keep exploring, keep discovering, and let the music move you.